Greetings, everybody. This is Mike Hart. Um, People always wonder why I keep disappearing. Make a couple of videos, disappear. Make a couple more, disappear. It's because a lot's going on, guys. Uh, so I'm 35 now, officially, and most of my adult life was spent um, helping other people instead of myself, or sacrificing my I don't know, I guess my life for other people, taking care of my dad, and you know, more or less for almost a decade, and sacrificing school and having family and certain other things, work for that. Someone had to do it, but definitely put a lot of things on the back burner, and then got out of a 6 year relationship about a year and a half ago. That was the worst relationship of my entire life. And living with someone who is really bad with money, and but keeps insisting that they're going to get better. So you end up having to pay for everything every month because she suddenly is out of money halfway through every month because she's terrible with her money. Anyway, yeah, it was a nightmare, among other reasons. But anyway, because it's hard for me to watch people I care about suffer, I always inevitably sacrifice. I have this tendency to sacrifice for people too much. So, like in that last case, financially. And I didn't go to school either. I didn't go to school. I didn't, because all my money was going to her. Which, was stupid on my part, but it's like, it's a little more complicated than that too. But it really is. It really was just a just financially draining situation. But anyway, there's a lot of guys out there that call me, what do you call that? A sucker or whatever. A guy who will, and I never saw her as like a gold digger or anything like that. I just saw her as really bad with her money. So, I guess I have a tendency to give people the benefit of the doubt and always just assume they're not trying to manipulate me. They're just, she really was bad with her money, you know. So, anyway, I was going to go over some comments, guys. No more excuse making, more comment reading. Less excuse making, more comment reading. You guys ready? I guess I should find the comments first, huh? I should have done that before I started the video. Figured out where the comments are. They're hard to find, guys, okay? Alright, let's see here. I subscribe because you're an INTP. I love INTPs. Oddly, I hate ENTPs. You're like a milder and more approachable version. This comment is totally not about the video topic, but oh well. Okay, now I have something to say. People say a lot of INFJs are mistyped. How many people do they think 1% of the world's population means? Not to mention, certain styles are likely to dominate the internet and virtual world, hence saturation, and other types are likely to congregate in other areas. What were you mistyped as? I've been mistyped as INTJ and ISTJ. I don't know. I don't, like I've said on another video, I don't really understand mistyping. So I've never really mistyped. I've never been anything but an INTP. When I first got into this stuff, I was kind of, before I decided on my type, I was kind of hopping between a few types. But I wasn't, I was never mistyped. I never said for sure what my type was and then changed it. So, but in the beginning, there were a couple I was jumping between trying to figure out what I was. I was jumping mainly between INTJ and INTP. Actually, also INFP. Um, an INFJ raised you right, LOL. This person is responding to my post where I asked people, do you believe it's possible to force yourself to stop loving someone? This person, butterfly with eyelashes, says, for me, it's quite easy to put someone away. Just focus on his failings. It does help. It does help. You know, it's not... As an INFJ, I really just can't agree more on this. That was in response to what I love about INFJs. INFJs really love that video, by the way. I know I've known many INFJs, so that's why I have such good insights into INFJs. Not the only reason. I'm just kind of... I understand people, okay? Very good at reading people. Very, like, I can feel people out. And some people will call that... Some people say I overthink. All my life, people say, you think too much. You're overthinking it. Whatever. This, that. But as I've gotten older, I've realized it's not that I'm an overthinker. It's that most people are underthinkers. Most people just kind of want to sweep things under the rug and not figure out the truth of matters. That's underthinking, in my opinion. You know, you can call it what you want. It's up to interpretation and perspective, but I think that's underthinking. So I think most overthinkers out there are actually just trying to be real, whereas the people calling them overthinkers are just trying to be fake, in my opinion, a lot of the time. But which types spread rumors and gossip about people the most? This is Snudge Galbraith responding to, are some types better than others? Which types spread rumors and gossip about people the most? Well, a lot of types can do this. Believe it or not, even though most people would say it's the FE DOMs, they do talk about people a lot, but I don't think they're necessarily the ones to have like quick negative judgments about people the most. Surprisingly, oftentimes that's unhealthy FI DOMs, ISFPs, etc., and the EFPs as well. But the FJs can be very, very big gossip kings and queens. So I would say they're all up there. But I've seen a lot of different people who engage in gossip. I'd say the ones who I've seen all types engage in gossip, but the ones who are more stereotypically associated with it are the FJs. But the unhealthy FPs, I think, are the ones who spread the most negative rumors. Good idea. Make a video about analyzing famous 16 personality type criminals. You guys hear me? That is a good idea. Nature Nerd 1000. I do believe that is a good idea. I'll keep that in mind. This one INTP in Quora that is so convinced I'm an INTJ, mistyped as an INTP, is because she says that I write like an INTJ, as opposed to her fellow types. I don't know why she keeps telling me that. She never even met me and perhaps feels I'm not good enough to be her fellow INTP. Also, she keeps putting us INTPs in a box, but if she has never met me in person, she would clearly see I am one. See, I think accusing someone of being mistyped, especially over the internet, or do you mean Quora? I've never heard of Quora before. If it's over the internet, accusing someone of being mistyped, I don't believe that is INTP behavior. So your response to this girl, in my opinion, should be, you're the one who's mistyped because this is not very INTP behavior. This is not very open-minded, follow the evidence where it leads behavior to, say someone's mistyped with such little information as how you write. Especially since there's so many other factors involved in the way someone writes. It could be language barrier. A lot of the commenters on my channel are from foreign countries, so there's a serious language barrier. So that changes the way someone writes substantially. So I don't think this person's an INTP, the person that thinks you're mistyped. I do find that very annoying being an INTP myself. There is this other lady that claims to be an INTP 5 Wing 6 who is very convinced that I'm an INTJ, mistyping myself as an INTP. How would she know? I just answered that, Sylvia. As far as the original feminists are concerned, your view is kind of rose tinted if we're talking about the first wave. They were a nightmare. This is an urgent PSA for young men. I'm not sure what you're referring to. I've said a lot of things about feminism. I don't know which specific quote you're referring to. Um, on my How to Get Girls as an INTP, MRDA says, I recognize myself in this, but I don't want a large circle of casual friends, just a small core of close ones. Does one really need to be a social butterfly to be appealing to women? That sounds exhausting. Well, you can't, there's no perfect deal, my friend. Um, it really does help you in your dating life. If you're struggling, especially, it really helps to meet more people. To meet like-minded people is especially important. Like if you're into, I don't know what you're into, but let's say you're into chess or something like that. Might not be a lot of ladies at a chess tournament, but you never know. What other interests you have? It's really good to meet like-minded people and go to events, classes, things like that. That's the best place to meet your future wife if you think about it, because you want someone who has similar values as you. You want someone that takes care of themselves. If you value taking care of yourself, exercise, etc., you don't want to be with someone who doesn't care about exercise, doesn't care about taking care of their body. You don't want someone like that. I was with someone like that for a long time, and it sucks. You pretty much can expect them to probably die before you, probably to grow into this obese creature. Um, not there's anything wrong with that, body shaming anyone or anything, but there's nothing wrong with having standards in who you choose to be your future spouse. You should be on the same page when it comes to things like that. Hey, if you don't like exercising, maybe you should find someone, find someone who doesn't like exercising, and it's the same thing. At least you're on the same page, right? But if you want more motivation to exercise, you should find someone who actually cares about it, because you'll kind of like help each other out in that way. It's really helpful to have someone with their shit together, so you're not like taking care of someone. You're not looking for your future wife to have a child to take care of, And unfortunately, a lot of modern men and women are just children you got to take care of. Um, Not that I'm the most mature guy in the world either, but at least I'm self-sufficient. I'm kind of messy sometimes. I could work on that. I'm not perfect, but I count on myself, and that's it. I do it my way or the highway. But you asked, do you really need to be a social butterfly to be appealing to women? You don't need to be a social butterfly to be appealing to women, but it helps. The key to a woman's heart is through her ears. It's an old saying. Um, if you look back when you were in school, and you think about the guys who all the girls liked, in almost every case, it's a guy who talks a lot. The very talkative guys who literally constantly want to talk to anyone and everyone, wherever they are, those are the guys that tend to attract most women. And it's not because they're more attractive, It's because they talk so much. They get to know so many people. It's just the law of averages. If you get to know 100 people a day, a lot of those people are going to be women. The more women you get to know, the more women are going to like you. It's literally just the law of averages. So yes, it is extremely helpful to be more talkative, to just get to know people more, and go outside your comfort zone, go to events and stuff like that, social gatherings. So it's not that extroverts are more attractive. To certain types, they are. They tend to be anyway. But introverts are also very attractive to many types. And so it's not that extroverts are more attractive. They just meet more people. It's really just the law of averages. Getting to know more people. You have to get to know a woman for her to like you. She's not just going to look at you and like you. She doesn't. Some guys work that way. A lot of guys work that way. They just look at a girl and say, "Hey, I want to marry her. She's awesome." Girls don't work that way. We're different in that way. But yeah, it really does help. But yeah, you could still have a small circle of friends and meet people and go outside your comfort zone and go to events and stuff like that. You don't have to get close with every single one of these people. And it will help sharpen your social wit and whatever else. Dude, when I was a salesperson back over a decade ago now, my wit was like so quick. But now that I don't work in sales anymore, I don't have to like talk to people constantly. It's kind of diminished a little bit, and I kind of like to get it back up to where it used to be. Use it, you lose it, right? Without plowing into cognitive functions and the resultant stacking for each type, one can't even begin to make such judgment calls. This is the same guy as the last question on stop telling everyone they're mistyped. I agree. Yeah, so that's true. Hey Mike, I enjoyed the video. I'm fairly new to all the MBTI stuff, but I think I'm an INTP. As I'm sure you already know, there's an absolute plethora of conflicting, biased, and overall inaccurate MBTI information around the internet. Where would you go to get the most consistent information so I can help solidify my type as much as possible? Thanks. The only place I can think of is my channel. I don't think there really is anything. There's no consistent, great info out there. Um, yeah, I mean, my channel's good because I get info from. It's kind of like a conglomerate of all the things I've studied over the years. Carl Jung's always good. Anything Carl Jung's written is always good to study. Um, but yeah, I'm sure there are good sources out there. But like things like 16personalities.com, I don't think that's a good source. Um, on what I love about INFJs. This is the most original and authentic description. No wonder INTP and INFJ are the golden pair. Um, I mean, a lot of people call them the golden pair. But yeah, INFJs really love that video. I'm an INTP female, and I think INTP males are the best for dating. I don't know any ENFJ men. ENFJ women are good friends, but high maintenance. So I can only keep one at a time, and I let her know in the beginning how lousy I am at keeping up with all her social activities. LOL. That's smart. You always let the extroverts know. This person says on my post about ENFJ women being the best for INTP men, INFP and INTP are very good as well. I will have to strongly, vehemently disagree with that. I think they understand each other at a core level and it makes for easy communication. That part is true, but it doesn't mean they're good in a romantic relationship. I don't think they are at all. Uh, I mean, it really depends. Any types can be good, but if you were to pick like top pairings, I wouldn't put INFP and INTP there, the top pairings. This is on my post. When you think of stupidity, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? This person, Cree, says the very first thing that comes to mind was just the concept of a closed minded person. Just a person who would value consistency and ego over truth. If you don't have the ability or desire to identify and scrutinize your own beliefs, then you are stupid, in my opinion. Fair enough. This person who whose username is me, myself, and INTP, and she responded to my post, "What's the first thing you think of when you think of stupidity?" And she says, "Ever since I looked it up in the dictionary, the first thing that comes to mind is slow to learn." Are you sure that's the dictionary definition of stupidity? Because I actually have to disagree with that. Slow to learn is not stupid. In fact, oftentimes the people who are above gifted, like extremely intelligent, tend to be slow learners in certain respects, like Albert Einstein, for example. Um, Especially with hands on activities, they would be kind of awkward and slow to learn. So I have to disagree with that. Same person asked on another video, "May I edit for you?" But she said, "May edit for you." You spell just the letter U. May edit for you. Not with that grammar, you can't. Thanks for the offer, though. But no, not with someone who says, "May edit for you." I'm not going to let someone edit for me who doesn't have good grammar in their sentences, no offense. But thank you for the offer. This person on the same post says, "The first thing that comes to mind is when someone holds two or more blatantly obvious contradictory beliefs and refuses to or can't acknowledge them as contradictory. They might even go so far as to say it's because not everything is black and white, or tell you to stop overthinking if you point it out. They neither want to or are capable of discussing or even thinking about it. The outright refusal to even attempt to engage with and understand a part of reality they chose to try and incorporate into their life at that point can only be called stupidity. At least when someone has beliefs that aren't true but are based on some sort of logic in their mind, you can argue that they're at least consistent and putting in effort. They're still wrong, but at least you can figure out the reason why they hold their beliefs and discuss it." I would have simplified that first paragraph. I'm still not exactly sure what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of stupidity. Holding two or more blatantly obviously contradictory beliefs and refusing to acknowledge. That just sounds like believing something that's false. What you describe is just like a very long way of saying believing something that's false. I mean, most people believe something that's false. But yeah, I mean, I think I get what you're trying to say. She says, Sylvia Owega says, "Well said," in my post, admonishing people for trying to say young in that post, in that quote, was talking about J types. She says, "What do you think Young's actual type was?" I think he was an INTP. So no, I don't think he was an INFJ. Very clearly not an INFJ. Lin Yan Chin, as always, has something to say here. Types and psychology are BS anyway. My jab was pointing out the folly of his poor wording and the idiotic idiom that is an attempt at citing judgment is not the act of thinking, aka discernment. As always, Lynn, I have no idea what you were talking about. Thank you for your comment, though. But I agree. Types in psychology are, in a way, BS. Fascinating BS. Cody says, I love looking at my weaknesses. I always need to know my insecurities. But also, the reason why it's important to know your weaknesses is the only way you can grow. The only way you can solve a problem is to pinpoint the problem. Otherwise, what are you solving? The only way you can improve something, I should rephrase that. The only way you can improve something is by pointing out the weaknesses and saying we need to fix that weakness. So, therefore, the only way you can improve yourself is like looking at yourself in an objective way, not a taking it personal kind of way, but an objective way, and saying, as if you're looking at yourself through the eyes of another person, saying, objectively, where is the mistake? Where is the flaw? What needs to be fixed? This person says, I'm an INFJ. I love INTPs. I hear that from a lot of INFJs, that you love INTPs. Thank you. So sweet of you guys. In case you can't tell, I got off work a few hours ago. Worked all night. Sleepy. This person says, in response to one of my posts, I was born and raised in a Catholic family in a country where 95% of the population is Catholic. I don't consider myself as an atheist or of an agnostic, but saying that by not being religious, I am blind to spiritual reality is just ignorance. I am more spiritual than most believers I know. The level of my spirituality is not comprehensible to an average believer in Jesus, heaven, and hell. They are just too closed-minded to even grasp what spirituality means. I think calling people who believe in Christianity closed-minded, like you just did, is doing exactly what you just described, closing your mind. So, I mean, it's fascinating to me how someone could write something, make an argument, and completely contradict themselves and do the actual thing they're criticizing in the argument while they're arguing it. It's fascinating when people do that. But as far as Catholicism goes, a lot of people convert into atheists out of Catholicism. I won't get into that anymore, but there's reasons for that. There's a lot of corruption that came about in the Catholic Church. And, the results of that corruption still live till today. I mean, there's still things that are taught that are just false and are not. I'm probably offending a lot of people right now, a lot of Catholics, because Catholicism is extremely popular still, or common. But it's just true. There was a lot of corruption, making people pay fines and stuff like that, and your sins will be forgiven if you pay this money, which is complete heresy, right? Completely anti-Christ teachings that some of them still live on till today. And a lot of Catholics don't really understand the point of Christianity. I know I'm really going to piss off a lot of Catholics here, but it's just true. They don't. A lot of them don't even really understand what Christianity is all about. I'm sure some of them do, but It's a problem. A lot of Catholics leave the faith because they're. I think it's because they're not really taught the faith. I think that's why they leave it. I think deep down they understand at a deep level that this is just not right. There's something not right here. This is not how it works. A lot of people who leave Mormonism is the same thing. A lot of people leave Mormonism because of that as well. That's the reason a lot of people leave uh, uh, religions. People just deep down know there's something wrong here. It doesn't make sense. But yes, I think yes, I think you are blind to a spiritual reality if you're atheist. I said if you're atheist, not if you're agnostic. You called yourself agnostic here, so you don't even apply to that. So I don't even know why you're upset. This person answered and said, "Okay, then inform me what spirituality means." Very good question, Karma's pimp. Great username. Yeah, that's a very good question. Feral answer. I would like you to answer that as well. This person answered my post where I asked, "Do you believe it's possible to force yourself to stop loving someone?" Milena Miller, Milena Millers is her username. If love here means infatuation or attraction, then no. Love, as in caritas, is an act of the will, and it's really difficult to do. And you wouldn't have to force yourself to stop. You would just stop making the effort. I don't agree with that at all. I don't think love is ever an act of the will. I think if you have feelings of love for someone, I don't think that's infatuation. I don't think having feelings of love for someone is infatuation. You can have feelings of love for a family member. You don't just decide to love that person. If they die, you miss them and you're sad. You're not just deciding to be sad. It's because you love them. You have feelings of love for them. Yeah, this is not. It's not a conscious choice at all. So I completely disagree with that. This person replied, "It depends. In general, I believe it's virtually impossible. However, you can actively choose to do things that can make it easier for love to fade, especially if you're speaking of love as an attraction." Okay, love and attraction are two completely different things. Okay, let's keep reading. I get into TI mode sometimes where I just want to correct the flaws in what people are saying instead of reading the rest of it. Okay. But yeah, no, love and attraction are not the same thing. Cutting someone out of your life and surrounding yourself with other things and people instead can help get them out of your mind and not an active part of your emotional world anymore. Even then, it's probably going to be a long, slow process, but it would be faster than if you just sit there waiting for it to go away on its own. Yes, that's true. Certain types are much better at this than others, like certain extroverts. Most extroverts are much better at getting out there, meeting new people. You know, there's an ESFP friend of mine used to say the best way to get over a girl is to get under another one, which was not my mentality at all. Um, so I have a tendency to want to sit with my feelings and just kind of think through them. That's just INTPs have a tendency to do that anyway. INTPs have an inner confidence that they can get through anything just by logically thinking it through. Um, INTPs work differently than a lot of people in that way, where some types they need to talk about things to feel better about them. An INTP just needs to be left alone to think it through, and by the time we're done thinking about it, sometimes only a few minutes, we feel better already. We're already feel better until later when we're thinking about the girl or whatever, then we feel bad again. But it's different for everyone. But yes, it's true. Moving on with your life is important. Certain types, though, have a harder time doing that. It's like they want to sit with the reality of it, if that makes sense. Scorpios tend to do that too, so maybe that has something to do with it. Oh my gosh, some people give really long answers to polls and things like that. It's like there's no way I'm going to read all that. It hurts my brain to read that much, guys. This girl, Kayla R., in response to what I love about INFJs, says, in quotes, "It's like a drug to me. Interesting, I have not heard this before, but I've experienced this vibe from others many times. Wondering what's going on. Very valuable insight. Thank you. Thank you very much." Lindsay Carlson says, in response to one of my posts talking about the law of polarity, "Just what I needed. This has been happening to me. I couldn't understand why." As an INTJ, we complement each other very well with INTPs. Power duo. I do like INTJs, and I actually do think we work well together, so I agree. Really enjoyed this. Thank you for sharing, Mike. You're welcome. This person says, on what I like about INTJs, I just love watching INTPs speak online. It's just me in another body. Can tell you are in your mind a lot here when trying to find what to say. Interesting. I don't remember getting a lot of these comments. It's weird. Maybe I don't get notified all the time. This person said on my post, Butterfly with Eyelashes says, unfortunately, in the most of cases, women seek status and the money security, But fortunately, there are exceptions, and depends on which country you live as well. This guy says you should start a Discord. We could have some of these discussions and maybe more. Milena Miller says most men and women objectify others and are predominantly self seeking in relationships and life in general. There are a rare few men and women who seek to act justly and choose to love and want the best for other people. That's true. Couldn't have said it better myself. That is absolutely true. This person says on Daddy Issues Explained, well, my father was a sadistic, pathological narcissist. Other girls bullied me in school. I don't hate men. I just don't trust them. I don't trust other women either, so I'm a complete effing hermit. I tried to go to psychotherapy, but it solved nothing. You sound very pessimistic. You should keep trying. Sorry for what you're going through, though. I don't mean to sound rude. But I don't think you should be too pessimistic here. I'm very tired, guys, in case you can't tell. I'm petering out a little bit. I'll probably end this soon. Um, yeah, you know, a lot of times when people have rough upbringings or are bullied or rejected a lot when they're young, they end up either becoming hermits or having anger issues because being abuse causes anger issues. Go figure, right? Being beat up and abused and stuff like that causes anger issues. Uh, so I relate with all of that because I dealt with all of that too. And my advice would be to try to see it in a more positive light because it builds character, um, and it makes you a stronger person when you go through things like that. People who have cushy lives, you know, and usually you're able to understand and empathize with people better when you experience things like that as a child. Not always. Some people go the opposite direction and then become sociopaths. But if you don't go that opposite direction, oftentimes you could become a very insightful and understanding person and help others out. So it maybe get into some sort of service where service work where you can be of service to other people who have gone through other terrible things. So there's a lot of people at responding to the whole why atheism is arrogant video. They're all very stupid comments, as usual. Atheists really give horrible arguments. Um, they're just simply not intelligent people, guys. I think you have to be a little bit um, brain damaged to believe something so horrifically stupid and false. I just I can't wrap my head around it. It's just anyway, guys. I'm tired. Thanks for watching. Thanks for st- you know watching all the way through me rambling through these comments. So see you guys later.